where you're filming and location. There's a few hot tips that I can give you here, but ultimately what it comes down to is film where it makes sense for you. Everybody's situation is different. You might work from home like I do, and you have a quiet house. I have 3 dogs, so if FedEx decides to drop off the package for the new hat that I'm getting and it's out for delivery today, then you're going to be hearing my dogs, my German Shepherd and my Huskies bark, and that's going to be annoying. But at the same time, they only bark maybe once throughout the day. If FedEx decides to drop off a package, ring the doorbell, dogs start barking, then, that's going to probably disrupt things. However, I know other people, maybe you do work from home, but you got kids at home. Maybe they're homeschooled or whatever, so it's not an ideal and conducive environment for you to film in. You need to know those things. This is where like individuality comes into play. But what that means is that doesn't mean you go out and, rent an office and you build a recording studio. You have options. Obviously, in your office, like a lot of clients that I work with, we film in their office, and that's a great place because then you can tell employees or other people that are in the office, like, hey, keep your mouth shut and shut your door. Like, we can't have any noise going on right now because we're filming, video or podcasts. And that's perfectly fine. That's at that point, you got a good environment and that works. Now, the other thing is to make sure that you do have an environment that is distraction free. You want to make sure, especially if you're not filming, if you're not used to being filmed on camera, it's extremely important for you to go through and make sure that you are not putting yourself in an environment where you're going to get nervous, you're going to get stressed out, you're going to get embarrassed in any way. Like, it needs to be in a distraction-free environment for you. For somebody like me, I am totally fine with filming in a crowded room when everybody's staring at me and that sort of thing. That's not a characteristic trait. It's just because I've had so much practice and I've done so much filming before for myself. And not a lot of people can get there, and that's totally fine. But you still need to make sure you put yourself in that environment. And usually, like for example, where I'm filming right now, there's normally 2 locations I film in. This is my office upstairs, which I literally use this office for 2 things: to house all my collectibles and to film content. And that's it. I don't use this office for meetings unless there's people downstairs. Like if Gabby has somebody over or something, I'll come up here for meetings if I need to, but normally I take all my meetings downstairs. The second location, if you ever see any of my content, you'll see that I'm in my kitchen, but I'm filming towards my living room. So I'll have something on the TV in the background. And that's a really good place to film because I have natural lighting. There's a lot of windows in my house and lighting comes through and it looks great. So if you can get your family out of the house for an hour and you can film that way, that's a really good way to do it as well. Now, the thing is about like environment, just make sure it's clean. Make sure it's you, make sure it's clean. Like you see a lot of clutter like right here, but it still has kind of like a rhyme and a reason to it. I'm trying to point. It's really hard to point like, there we go. Like all that, but it still has a rhyme and reason to it. You see a couple, like you see this sign right here of the Jordan 1. I'm a big sneakerhead, so that's there. I don't play guitar, but I love metal music, so that's there. I love Star Wars, so that's there. So you have a little bit of me in all of this. And so you don't have to build stuff out like this. For example, like downstairs in my kitchen, I don't have any of this stuff, but it's nice and clean in the environment. So that's the number one thing I would tell you is make sure that it's a very clean environment because that will appear on camera and you want to make sure that it's presentable, right? So that being said, a couple hot tips that I'll give you about where to film. Number one is, and I'll just tell you what I do with clients when I'm going out to their location to film. Sometimes clients that I film with, they work from home and they have families at home, so they really can't film anything at home and they don't have an office to go to. So where do we go? Two places that you can go. Number one is obviously, and honestly, I'll give you my best one, is an Airbnb. So pretty much anywhere you live in the country, there's Airbnbs that are local. You rent that thing out you'll have to rent it out for 2 nights because if you do one night, then you kind of get smack dab in the middle of the day and then you got to line up the filming around that. So normally what I do when I come in to film with somebody is I'll come in the night before, I'll stay the night there. Then we wake up in the morning and then, I mean, if you're in an Airbnb, it's going to be furnished. So you'll have nice furnishing there. Look at the pictures before you go. Make sure that it looks good, looks clean, looks modern, the way that you want it to look in a video. And then that's normally where we film. So we film in the living room. And the beautiful thing about the Airbnbs is normally it's very clutter-free. So you can film in the kitchen, you can film on the patio, you can film in the living room or in a bedroom or whatever it is. Like you can literally film in any of these locations and you don't have to rent it out after like any other time period, right? So you can rent that Airbnb for 2 nights. So then night 2, you're probably not going to have anybody there, but you could film all day. So that's a really good kind of kind of technique. If you wanted to film it for one night, like you could literally, I mean, normally check-ins at like 4, you could film from 4 to 12 or whatever, or 4 to 8, and then, you know, not use it for the next morning or whatever. So you could do it that way too. But that's a really good tip that I've used for a lot of people, where you could spend like $300 for the 2 nights at a decent Airbnb that's local, and you film all your content there, and you're good to go. And that's it. And you don't have to worry about anything else. Obviously, you could look for local recording studios. Typically, those are going to be on the expensive side. There's a studio that I filmed a bunch of content in here that is local. I don't think it exists anymore, but I was filming there, and for an hour's worth per week, I think I was spending about $1,000 per month for that. So 4 hours a month, and it was $1,000 for the technician. So it was the cameraman and all the gear and the space itself. That's pretty expensive. So I stopped doing that, and that just doesn't work out for me anymore. But that's what like kind of the average rate would be, somewhere between like $250 to $300 an hour for you to actually rent a space with a technician, somebody that has their gear there, the setup, and they're running it for you. So try to stay away from that if at all possible. But obviously, the more content you're recording, the more that you're going to be using the space, so the more it's going to cost you. So just keep that in mind. All right, so that's that. And then the only other thing I would add to any of that is, as you're recording, like if you are going to batch your content, which batching your content is basically, let's say, for example, you want to put out one social media video a day that's under 60 seconds. Well, there's 30 days in a month. So that means you need to record 30 videos, which sounds like a lot, but it's not, because these are under 60 seconds. So as long as we prepare correctly, we could probably knock out these recordings in less than 2 or 3 hours. So keep that in mind. Let's say you want to record 30 videos. Space those out. When you're batching them, make sure that you're changing your environment a little bit, like literally just changing the angle of the camera just a bit. And then when you're recording, take a change of shirts. Like I wear basically a lot of black, white, red, and gray. So I'll change my hat every 3 or 4 videos. I'll change my shirt the next 3 or 4 videos, just to get a little bit of a different feel. Now, if you're somebody that wears like the same polo to work every day, and it's got a branded polo, and that's what you wear every day to work, then that's fine. Just leave that on the whole time. Just change your environment just a little bit to get the looks to look a little different. And that's honestly the way that you could go about it. With all that, we should have a good like actual agenda for recording our content. You shouldn't have any struggles with actually deciding and understanding how you're going to record, because you are going to be kind of looking at it from a scope of like, you feel prepared at this point.